knocked out a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's not good.
Just from head against the snow. All right, let's do our show. All right, we're back. Combat-based podcast. It rips. It's sick. And it's still here. And this is our last show in the garage ever.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, because we're not
moving.
cleaning the thing out. We're not going to clean it out this weekend.
It's
we're
this
doing
weekend.
it next weekend.
It's this weekend.
No, it's not. Because you said you weren't available. You had to do something with your wife. This Sunday, you can't clean out the garage.
I cannot clean up.
No, but you can't this Sunday.
Oh, no, I can't.
It's next Sunday.
I have it on my calendar.
But anyways,
you told me
we are
you
switching.
said this Sunday that you couldn't, and so you said that it was May 4th because you have something with your wife. May 4th, 2 p.m.
There's something on there that I don't want to do.
Oh,
with my
okay, so
wife.
we're switching it.
There's something on there that I'm supposed to do that I don't want to, and I want an excuse to not do it.
Okay, well, I'll
Somebody
switch it on
clean
my
it.
calendar too. We just have to communicate.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
And yeah,
So let me
anyhow,
edit that.
the garage is no longer going to be the home base. We are using what we call the combat base office, which is
It's a
where
cottage.
we store. It's a cottage.
We'll
And-
see if it's ready.
It's
I
gonna be
wish
sick.
you men the best of luck.
It'll be ready.
Chris
It'll
has
be
to be on
ready.
a phone call with Australia at 5 p.m. that day.
We can do that.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, so we're here with the CEO, Melissa Haueter.
Hello.
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 We're here with the venerable Chris Haueter. Hey.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Tobin, the producer here. All right, and we're going to do our show today, which we've been getting pretty wild with our topics, and it's taken up a lot of time, and we've been neglecting the Q&As and the hotline. So we're going to take some time to hit some of that up today. And just remember, the Patreon is still going. Really appreciate the support. Super rad. If you want to do that, get on board with that. If you want to buy some combat base gear at combatbase.com, podcast 10 will get you 10% off. If you want to join Combat Base Club, you get a free month by putting in podcast. You can also be on the show by emailing podcast@combatbase.com or hitting the hotline 949-791-7763. Be a part of our show. Yeah, let's hit
please
some of
call,
these.
guys. Please call, leave a message, tell us a joke, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Remember Chris Chowder?
Yes, I love Chris Chowder. Call again, Chris Chowder.
Yeah, Chris Chowder should be a character on our show.
Chris Chowder. Insane.
Bring it back, Chris Chowder.
All right. Let's get on to some cues. We got cues in. Do you want to hit this first one? It's short and sweet.
Yeah, sure. I'll read the questions. I don't mind at all. So the first question says, Chris, have you researched Bitcoin? That's just
it.
for you. I don't know anything about
All right,
Bitcoin.
so-
I haven't researched Bitcoin. Not that you care.
My brief, so I want to say this was, I think Allison, my daughter, was like 4 or 5 at the time. So it had been 10 years ago, maybe plus. It was, and one of my black belts, I won't mention his name because he probably doesn't want me to, but was saying, buy Bitcoin. Dude, you got to buy it. And it was when that buzz was first kind of around. It was back when everyone talked about CrossFit too. It's like, buy Bitcoin. And I'm like, I don't know. It sounds like a Ponzi scheme, which I still think it is. Not that I'm against it. And he took my iPhone 5, whatever it was. I downloaded an app and I bought $20 worth of the Bitcoin. And I forgot about it and I didn't look at it for at least 5 years. And it turned into almost $1,000. And he ended up closing his school and retiring because he bought early. And anything that is shaped like a pyramid, if you are in on the ground floor, you can make a lot of money. And most crypto is, which I'm not putting value on this, but it's based on hype. And I advise anyone to read Yuval Noah Harari's book, Sapiens. It's got the best chapter, one of the essays I've ever read on money. What is money? Money is it's all in our heads. Money is valuable because we all think it is. And money can be anything. As long as enough of us think it's valuable, especially people who have a lot of money think it's worth, then it becomes valuable.
Wait, hold on. Can I interject on that
Yeah,
idea?
please, anytime.
Isn't it also that it's tied to the rule of law?
Yes.
So if it's not tied to the rule of law and it's valuable, it becomes so unstable.
It becomes really unstable.
So, but if it's tied to the rule of law, then it's really valuable because now, like, it attaches to society in a meaningful way.
Currently, the world's reserve currency is the U.S. dollar. Before then, it was the pound, I believe, the pound sterling. And basically, there was, back when that was based on gold, and then the Bretton Woods Agreement and all those things, there was a few other things that happened during Nixon where we went off the gold standard. Some people argue we should go back to the gold standard. I've heard good arguments pro and against, and I'm no economist, but I do know that that our U.S. dollar is the global currency. So people go, oh, you're printing money, that's horrible. Yes, that's what creates more money. Is somebody's literally just printing money. And that causes inflation. And then people talk about inflation's the real devil and all that. But if we were just had one finite amount of money in the world, and again, I'm no economist, there are reasons why we have to create more money if we want the economy to ever grow. And Bitcoin and crypto is trying to replace the US dollar as the global currency. And I'm not saying this, there's people, again, that know way more than me about this and could probably give a well-articulated article about how I'm wrong. But one of the problems that crypto has, as there's a lot of problems, and I wish I would have read this before I talked, because I would have boned up on this, is it is a really easy way to launder money. It's a really easy way to pay people a lot of money and have no trace of where that money came from. So besides young investors who want to make $100,000 in a week, people who love it are drug cartels, terrorist groups, white-collar criminals. And maybe that's good, because one could argue that all money is bullshit. And why should your fiat U.S. currency be more valuable than our cryptocurrency? I don't know, you know?
Yeah, it just seems like, again, my one thing is it like needs to be tied to the
It's
rule
got to be
of
tied
law.
to something where it's not so. And some people think that that's what, because a bunch of really rich people a year and a half ago bought a bunch of it, and then it started to plummet, that they have lobbied the current administration to get into crypto. Hence, Trump launched his own meme currency, which is a way to pay him God untold amounts of money to get what you want. And some people say that's the way it should be. And some people on my side think it shouldn't be, like that we should have the rule of law and that no one is above law. But
yeah, and it seems like the idea is to have a stable currency. Like we want to, the whole point of having a currency is that instead of us transacting everything on a barter system,
Right.
is we have something that we've agreed on.
I give you chickens, you give me wheat.
And then that always, every time I've ever bartered for anything, I feel like it always ends up, someone feels like they're getting ripped off.
Yes.
But if we can put a dollar value on everything that we all agree on and that's stable, it makes transactions happen a lot cleaner.
Yes.
I feel like it's sort of a gambler's mentality that really supports crypto. But also, I think Chi's really into crypto. It'd be cool to have him on the podcast to
Yes.
ask him
Chi-May.
specifically
Yes.
about
He
crypto.
understands how it works technologically.
Yeah, you guys should have that show. I'm
Which,
not
yeah.
going to come.
This is
Because
boring you
women
to
don't
death.
know anything about crypto.
This is boring you to death. Melissa's sleeping in the back.
Oh, economics was my least favorite class. I love money, though.
Yeah. me
But
too.
economics was like, I couldn't stay awake in that class. I wasn't meant to be a business major.
Well,
Yeah.
Even
All
though
right.
I run a business, CEO in the house. What's up?
Nice.
What's up, homies?
When I was a kid, I loved collecting coins. Like it was in the 1970s. pretty big, because the silver-colored money pre-1964 was solid silver, the dime and the dollar. And it would be great finding like a 1963 quarter, because I mean, you could feel, oh, this is real silver, not this stamp thing that we have, but like, that's kind of one of those things that you realize even as a kid, that money is just a symbol. It's a placeholder for trading goods and services. And like, I had, what were those bills called? I had silver certificates, like a $2 silver cert, $5 that was redeemable for $10 worth of silver or whatever. Yeah. But anyways,
All right.
so I don't know enough to have an opinion on crypto.
Yeah.
To answer a question, I feel like I barely know enough. Maybe it's going to be what saves the economics of the world. Maybe it's going to be what causes the next global crash. Maybe it won't do either, and it'll be a thing that we play with. I wish my art could somehow get cryptoized where I could make money on it, because like everyone, I'd love to make money on NFTs.
Like, what the heck is that even? I don't know. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it.
Token. Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Just trying to contribute, but I'll just be quiet. Should we move on to the next question?
Yeah.
I'll read it. Want me to read it?
Yeah, read the next
Okay, this is a much longer question. Hi, Chris, Melissa, Tobin. It was great to meet Chris and Melissa and training at the garage recently. The private lesson and combat-based membership have been the two best BJJ investments I have made this year. I highly recommend both. Hugely beneficial in terms of deepening my understanding of BJJ and identifying and addressing areas for improvement. Lots of food for thought. My question is, how would you recommend older players prepare for competition? I will be competing at the Asian Open in Tokyo in late June in the Master 5 Brown Belt division. I'm 53, on track to make weight, and have good cardio. There's a high probability of facing off versus a good judo player, and I have limited stand-up, but am working on offense and defense. P.S. Thanks for the combat-based soap. Where can I get some more? All the best, Richard Clark. Remember Richard Clark?
Yes.
He was in Australia now.
Yes. Now he's
living in Australia.
Yes. I liked him a lot.
And yes, we have combat-based soap, combatbase.com, and you can type in podcast 10 and get 10% off your combat-based soap, which guess what? Chris makes it by hand.
It's a secret.
It's a secret recipe. And he wraps it very artistically, and then I put it in little boxes and mail it to you. Yes. It's really fun. Something that we're doing. So you could check that out at combatbase.com in our store. And then the question regarding the competition, I think that's great that you have good cardio. You're on track to make weight. We have a lot of resources at combatbase.com in terms of the membership, where you can watch lots of videos for our club members. And we also do a monthly Q&A. And I believe we had a question like this in our monthly Q&A recently, where it was asked about like how to approach the stand-up portion of a fight, especially if you know you're going against a good judo player and you have limited stand-up experience. I think that's something like at Brown Belt's a good time to really dive deep into that stand-up a little bit. I think it's a good idea. And have a couple of takedowns, at least feel comfortable holding your base in a standing position. But against a judo person, you probably want to pull guard. Just saying.
I was just about to say that. I was about to say, if we're thinking street, training sport, practicing art, you're going to a jiu-jitsu competition, you're doing a competition in the sport.
Yes.
So if you don't know how to take people down, pull guard and do what you do in the sport.
That's right.
Right? This isn't your opportunity to exercise your think street.
Right, and also
like,
Chris would often advise us to try to pull a sweep as opposed to just pulling a passive guard. Pull an attacking guard, a sweeping, locking, choking guard, back taking guard.
And I would say that, like, because I like my things in threes. Any comp at any age, there's three things. There's your body, your technological skill, and your mind. So mind, skill, body. You definitely want to have strength and cardio, flexibility. Those are those three on the body, because they'll help you not only prevent injury when you're aging, but you could last long enough, you're strong enough to hold things, and you're flexible enough. It's that frame and flow wing of it and all that. So there's that. The mental part, like matches are 1/3 mind, 1/3 skills, 1/3 are you fit. And you're trying to enhance all of those at all times. When one of them feels weak, the other two can prop it up, and vice versa. When one of them is weak, it could pull the other two down. So it's kind of being aware of that. And for most people, especially people who don't compete all the time, you do your homework, you get fit, you're training, you got your moves. The hard part becomes the mind. And for people who compete all the time, the mind's the easy part because they're used to competing. And everybody has their own route and their own mental tricks. I could tell you what mine are, but still, if I haven't competed in a while, my brain can't help it. I'm nervous. But usually the hardest part is the first minute of match one, where you just feel nervy, you feel like you're out of balance, you're worried about what it looks like for the crowd, but then minute in, it's like, oh, this is jiu-jitsu. Oh, I love this. It's fun, because it is fun. So that brings me a rise at the point. What is the point of all this? To have a good time. And if you go in the match and say, I'm going to take it to my opponent and have as much fun as I possibly can, leave the results up to God, just try my hardest, you will have a good time. But if you go in putting pressure on yourself, or I have to play a certain game, or I'm scared of judo, or I want to do stand-up, or I don't, like, just get that all out of your head. Do what makes you feel good, and pulling guard makes you feel good. By all means, pull it away.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like this dude talking about judo, you're scared of 2 points, and it's a whole match. So whatever. If you get caught and you get tossed, do your thing, man, and recover and do your guard, do your sweeps, and finish the guy.
The problem can arise if a person's strength is wrestling judo. They will want to keep the fight standing and scoring and holding and getting back up.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that
again.
they're just going to throw you one time.
Yeah.
I've been thrown. Remember that match where I kept standing back up with that girl and she took me down with the same takedown 3 times?
Yes.
Like, it's a learning process. You don't want to keep standing back up.
You want,
the mentality that I think that we train with is, you know, that you don't want to just lay down and flop. So I think I kept getting back up, but that wasn't the right strategy for that situation, playing that game.
Yep.
Right. And also we would talk a lot about, you know, leading up to your competition, that you don't necessarily want to be like rolling super hard.
No,
because
definitely not.
You expose yourself to the potential for injury, especially as we're older. But this even applies when we're younger, because I can tell you from personal experience, in my late 20s and early 30s, I hurt my knees right before competition a couple of times.
The injuries
and, like,
happen in the training.
Of competitions I was registered for. The injury happens in training. So if you can be more technical about your training and keep working on that cardio and strength off the mat on your own, it's probably more advisable than trying to get these really intense rounds in on the mat. But then again, you know, everybody is different. That was just probably advice that I would have given to myself. But I think out of nervousness, I would want to train really hard, like up until the competition, and then get hurt.
Potential goes up. Yeah, I think, and this is just where I've been at for really the last 15, 20 years, even a little before, is I don't want to use jiu-jitsu to get strong, flexible, and cardio. I want to do that by running, by lifting, stretching,
Which
yoga.
he doesn't do any of those things.
Which I don't. But jiu-jitsu is how do I do this the least athletically? Then to get ready for a comp, you go, okay, how long's the match? 5 minutes? Okay, miles. Let's run a mile as hard as I can to burn out lungs. Let's do stairs. Let's
Which
swim.
he hasn't competed since he was 50
No,
and he's 60.
I haven't.
So
But that is, as a coach, that's what I would
Uh-huh.
highly say. Don't use jiu-jitsu to get in shape. Use something else.
yes, that
Which
makes
is what
a lot of sense, I
I
think.
should do, which I've been telling myself for 10 years. I should go running. I should go just, and then people will go, what about the jiu-jitsu? Why don't you just roll harder? Because that's contrary to my philosophy of jiu-jitsu. So if I want to get in shape, get off the mat and get in shape.
Tadashi had that Nogi Worlds match where he threw, the guy kept standing up like you were doing.
yeah.
And he threw the guy like 6 or 7 times.
Yep.
And the guy quit after one of the throws. He just gave up
Yeah.
because he was so like wrecked from getting
Well,
slammed
yeah, he
so
shouldn't
hard.
have kept standing up.
So
huh?
again, it's just pull guard.
Yes, stay
Right.
on stay on your butt.
Do your thing.
Try
Don't
to work
scoot
your
away,
guard.
scoot towards.
Yes, if the guy takes you down one time, that's enough. Don't say, "Oh, I'm going to try again." Especially like you have limited stand-up experience. My match like that, I was a purple belt and I had like hardly any. Like I knew one takedown and I was okay at it. I've been training, this was in 2007, so I'd been training 4 years with very limited stand-up,
Yeah.
So it's like this girl, obviously, she had a really good takedown. It was the same exact takedown, like 3 times.
Uh-huh.
It's
It
like,
was a
duh.
taller girl than you.
She
and
was tall.
Used I can't remember in
When you
Japanese what's
step
it called?
behind
Osotogari? Osotogari.
Osotogari. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
right. Yay, me.
Nailed it.
I learned something since then.
Yeah, and there's guard pulling technique too, right?
Yes.
Like it's an easy thing you can learn really quick.
Well, we used to go over like pulling De La Hiva guard,
Yep.
like going straight into a De La Hiva, or you can go straight into close guard, or you can go straight into a scissor sweep, or
Close
you
guard,
can
back
go,
sweep.
the back sweep, the one that I used to do a lot, or
Flying
you
guard.
can, what's the one where you put your foot on their hip and sweep them while you're going around, which would probably be really hard on a judo person.
There's a combo of Tomonagi blended with De La Hiva blended. It's kind of I call it a jiu-jitsu attacking guard pull.
Kind of
Yeah.
rise them a little
Where
bit
you're
and then
trying
flip
to
them.
Yeah.
pull them over, you can't. You De La Hiva and try to sweep, then go back over.
Which,
again.
Richard, if you would like, we could go over some of these in our next Q&A, which is on May 4th.
We could.
Nice.
And that Q&A footage gets emailed out to all our Combat Base Club members.
Yep.
So
Nice.
this would be a good question just to kind of review some guard pulling techniques for the jiu-jitsu person that doesn't have a lot of stand-up experience going against a more skilled stand-up player.
Now, generally, I mean, just for me, I've realized, especially again in the last 10 years when I changed my whole approach, every class I teach, we start a standing. We don't start in the guard. We don't start. We often never spar standing. Like I don't, because I don't want to get thrown, but I let the class, if they want, okay, guys, standing start, because that's how it starts. And I think part of the problem is too many the jiu-jitsu schools neglect. Some of them don't do any stand-up.
Yes.
And I think it's important to do stand-up.
Yeah.
You want to be comfortable in the clinch.
Sweet. You want to hit that next one?
Yes, I
You ready?
do. I'm going to hit it. Here we go. So that was Richard. Okay. Another email we got. Hi, guys. Just on the topic from last week on loyalty. So that was several weeks ago, right, Tobin?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a bit of a situation in my BJJ gym. My coach/gym owner is in his mid-60s and seems to be semi-retired. It's like he's only doing this for money and doesn't really care about the team. I like the guy as a person, but not really as a coach. I'm 4-stripe blue at the moment and just wondering, should I continue my journey at this school or move? I would like to hear your opinions. Cheers.
I'm sure that there are schools that are owned and operated by non-athletic old guys, but they've structured it in a way where they have a coaching staff that's providing a young athletic game. And there's probably some young athletes that don't provide that game. So I don't know. I can't base it on the guy's age and ownership, but you definitely want to go where you feel comfortable. But I also know that at four stripe blue purple belt, the grass always looks greener on the other side. That becomes a thing where it seems like those guys over there are doing it better.
Yeah.
And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. They're doing it a little different for sure, because every place is. And yeah, sometimes people think that they're going to find what they're looking for elsewhere, when really what they have to find it in themselves and create the training partners to get what they want, because now they're 18-year-old adults and they can't expect the parenting as much anymore.
Yeah, I think those are good points. And so putting myself in your shoes, I'm trying to think about like what that would feel like. And a lot of questions arise, like, how do you feel about your training partners? How is the actual coaching during the classes? Are the classes taught by this black belt guy? Are they taught by somebody else? Yeah, what is the overall culture of the gym? And I think that, like Chris said, you do get to like this advanced kind of stage where you feel like something's missing, and the first thing to look at is the coach a lot of times. But really, and I remember this journey clearly myself, and Chris has described it for himself, it's like a time to turn inward and see what's missing. And like the biggest thing is go visit some other gyms.
Yeah.
Just visit, drop in.
Do some open mats.
Do open mats. Try different things. And if you do end up switching gyms at some point, perhaps it can be more of an organic thing rather than just like, this isn't working for me anymore, I'm leaving. But no, go try, make some new friends. I'm really a big advocate of like small group training with peers, like asking a couple of people who are a little like more advanced than you and a little newer than you if they want to just get together and roll. Like finding a place to do that, whether you have mats at your house or there's open mat time where you can do that at someone's gym. Just making different connections, even traveling, going to camps, going to seminars, just really adding to the jiu-jitsu experience so it's more complete rather than just confined to this particular location. Now, maybe you're doing all of that already. And if you are, like, what feels the best to you? Is there a place where you feel like, oh, this training at this location just feels like home? But I think that when I hear about people jumping from gym to gym to gym, it kind of just feels like that's a pattern. You know, there's a lot to be said about sticking with one place and people who know you and having that coaching experience, but at the same time seeking out other things so that you get all your needs met. I think to me that feels the best.
I think it's really healthy for especially younger grapplers, but even older, to be in that phase where sport's important. Like, I think that's 1/3 of the game. Like, there are schools that do self-defense art only. I'm more self-defense art these days. But I think sport is really important. Playing the game against your peers. And regardless of what school you're in, you need to have competitive roles against your peer. Whether there's an official refereeing it or not, you need to have that experience. People trying to get you really hard and trying to beat you, and you doing the same. And I've noticed that over the years, people that dodge that phase in martial arts, and it's in all of the arts, it's hard to fill that hole if you haven't done some amount of competition. So,
what do you think, Tobin?
I think that I think if I'm thinking about from this person's perspective, I think they need to take an objective look at like what are they trying to do with their martial arts, like, so do you want to learn your martial arts from a semi-retired older guy that's not that interested in martial arts? Or what are you looking for? And so, like, yeah, if that's not what you're looking for, go find what you're looking for, which I don't know. If you want to be a black belt under some badass, super competitive guy, go do that. I don't think you need to be stuck anywhere. And I think what you can do too, if you feel a strong sense of wanting to be quote unquote loyal to this guy, you can propose to him changes in the situation that would make you want to stay there, and give him a chance to be loyal to you.
Yeah.
Because loyalty is a two-way street. So you give the other person a chance to adapt to you and serve you, so you can continue to serve them by showing up at the place. I think that would be a good way of going about it if you have strong feelings about being loyal.
And I think we can all say that in this world, maybe now more than ever, that things get just because something's popular doesn't necessarily mean it's good.
Correct.
Doesn't necessarily mean the quality is good.
Correct.
If you want to find the best heart surgeon, it's probably not the guy who's best at
selling it.
It's, right? And I think that's true with everything. And I know highly financially successful martial arts people who are not that good at transmitting martial arts. And I know people that are really good at transmitting martial arts who are horrible at attracting eyeballs to it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I think about my own particular journey, and I don't feel that there was ever a time where I felt that I belonged to a gym in my entire, like even now, the CEO of Combat Base. Combat Base is an eclectic group of many different like-minded groups and individuals that don't even agree on everything, but just kind of want to be able to be independent and do their own thing.
Yep.
So I think that this gentleman and anyone could train at a location, but still train at lots of different places. And like, I don't know. I'm not saying there isn't loyalty, but I kind of feel too that if the person doesn't agree with how the gym is being run and isn't finding any value, because those are two different things. Like if you've been at this place this long, there must be some value, like whether it's the other people that attend. But I feel that that if you are to approach your coach and say that you feel like he doesn't really care about the students and that he's just doing it for the money, that's not going to work.
Well, you can say it in a productive way, like, hey, we need more of this here, we need more of that there, or I need this, or I need to go get this type of training, so blah, 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 blah. And maybe the solution is that he continues to train at that gym, but goes to another gym for a certain type of training. I don't really know. You got to work out whatever the specifics of the situation are. But, I mean, you don't want to go to him and just say it in a blunt way.
You seem like an old semi-retired guy.
You kind of suck, dude. So like,
but like I always got to think maybe because I feel like the old guy.
Because you're the old semi-retired guy.
So there's
a lot of value in old semi-retired people. They have experience.
There
do not have
young purple belts and young black belts who can show you a mount and an arm bar the same way from your perspective that I will. But maybe when you get to be a black belt later, I'll show you some nuance that you missed. Or other way around, but you're not going to see that nuance or even feel it or value it as a blue belt yet. I mean, there's that, and there's a time and a place for everything. Like I definitely distinctly remember a phase when I was an experienced purple belt to like a first or second degree black belt, where I felt like the method in which I was showing a person whatever it was superior to what I had learned. But then I'll go back and realize that I was missing things because I wasn't ready to see that thing, that they were showing it to me in the way that I was ready to receive it or whatever.
But at the same time, I believe that probably you had a way of communicating that may have been superior to your instructors because of your command of the English language.
It might have been.
I feel like whenever I've learned from some people who don't speak English, it's a little harder for me to follow if their English is not. Do you know what I mean? Remember when like that one guy took over the Machado Academy and he was basically teaching through a translator? That was hard for me to follow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie.
It was weird AF.
It was hard. Like, you know, so because you have a command and you're teaching other English speaking students, you can use more analogies and you can use more nuance in your speech. And then you can also, you know what I mean? Like,
and
being one of the first American English speaking people to travel around the world and teach is like a thing.
Yeah. And when I see a really ripped athlete who's winning medals and showing a move, it's hard for me not to see the athletics. Whereas when I go to an older, experienced bunch of stripes on his belt coach who doesn't have the athletics anymore, who used to have it and now has to come up with a more technical way, I personally am going to get more out of it. But maybe you're at that phase where you need that inspirational fit leader. Come on, guys, we're going to train hard and then go for a run after class.
Or maybe you need to expose yourself to lots of different things, because I would say not only old men show things technically, but a lot of women are very, very technical based on our own bodies and our strength, etc. And so a lot of men have learned from me and appreciated my technicality, or prior to that, my experience training with Cindy Omatsu and all the men that would come to learn from her because of her technicality. Yeah. You know, it's
almost like I would rather learn a climbing armbar from a 122-pound woman than a 200-pound ripped athletic dude. Yeah, I'm going to get a better armbar.
I would rather learn a mount escape from a 120-pound woman than a 220-pound man, because it's going to be easier for him no matter what. For a 120-pound woman,
they can cheat the technique.
To escape mount is not easy, especially when the person outweighs you by 50 or more pounds. So if that woman can actually do it, then that's who I want to learn it from. Yeah. Right, Tobin?
Yeah. I had somebody approach me the other day who's an older grappler and was like, hey, should we go to this seminar of this like super young, crazy, super wild, ultra athletic dude.
One of the popular
one of the like top guys. And I was just kind of like, I think that's cool and it would be interesting to watch.
And you might pick something up.
Yeah. And I for sure, you know, and like I would watch it on YouTube or something and be like, oh, cool. But I'm like, dude, I would way rather just like go take a private class from one of you guys, you know what I mean? Because it'll like actually add to my game, you know?
Well,
but
it's
I can't
also
do all that crazy ass shit.
A private lesson versus a seminar, those are two vastly different things, right? A seminar, you go show up, like you said, maybe some of this works for you, maybe it doesn't. A private lesson can be structured exactly to you, form fitted to whatever like question you might have or hole you might have in your game, or whatever you feel like you want to learn or need to work on, or whatever your coach evaluates by rolling with you and actually working with you. Seminars, like, I think seminars are great supplement. They can be, when you take a Chris Haueter seminar, I highly recommend them because they're entertaining. You'll laugh, you'll bond, you'll have a good time. You'll pick up, he teaches very fundamentally, so you'll pick up little tweaks to a grip or a setup to something that I think everybody can take something home. That's not necessarily true of every seminar you're going to attend. Totally. And so it could be a waste of time.
Well, and I think a seminar from someone like Chris,
or like Hickson, that was a good seminar.
It's universally applicable, right?
Correct.
Whereas like the young athlete, it's only applicable to young athletes.
But he needs money too.
Yeah.
So if you want to go check this guy out, a lot of times people go to seminars just to take pictures. Yeah. Like you go, you do the seminar and you get a picture with this guy, arm around your.
It's cool.
It used to not be like that, but that's what it's
I'm not trying
into.
to dog on it.
Instagram.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool for sure.
But when I was younger and I taught, there's definitely a period of time in my game from advanced purple belt all the way to 4 on the black belt, where my answer to almost everything guard involved inversion. Like that's just like, and like I find that to be a critical fundamental skill. But now that I've aged, I appreciate when the older person comes up to me and says, look, I began this thing at 48. I cannot invert. Based on my neck, spine, and back, that's something I can't do. And I have learned through my older coaches and as I've aged, jiu-jitsu without inversion. Hickson does not invert.
Did he ever?
He could when he was young. Yeah, but that was...
I still can,
Yep.
but I think that it's like I would only do it with certain people in certain situations where I feel like safe, because I wouldn't want to like get smashed by some giant person
your spine
in the
bounced
wrong
on,
spot. And now it just seems too everything seems risky now.
Yeah, I feel like I was doing a lot of inversions for a long time, but I found that when I train with MMA guys, they end up like stuffing my legs into my face really hard.
Yep.
And then I get kind of stuck and it doesn't
Yeah.
work as well. And then, I find myself doing it less. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think if you're going to do sport jiu-jitsu, which of course dovetail blends into art and street, and if your body can, you should go through a phase where you learn how to invert, because that is the answer to not getting your guard passed at a certain point and turning a defensive guard into an attacking guard. Does that mean that you have to have that? No. Does it mean if you're older that you have to somehow force your body to invert? No. But it's good to be in a room where people are trying to invert on you so you can respond to an inverting guard.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right.
Ready?
This next quick
Okay.
one. Let's
This
make
is
this
the
quick and then
last
let's
one?
get to
Okay. Hi, Chris. I was curious as to when you are next over to the UK. I would like to attend a seminar. Kind regards, Ashley Wiles. Ashley, this is a question for me because I know the schedule. The schedule. So I think Chris is coming over in November. I'm not sure he's going to do any seminars or not. You're going to go on a trip with James.
UACTP.
Probably. He said September. Now he's saying November. I hope that he gets to go over to the UK.
A lot's changing in the world right now.
Yeah, and
I might get tariffed, so I don't know.
Yes, so yeah, we'll have to see how things go. We were thinking about maybe going this summer, but I think if he's going in September, and summer's too close now anyways, but maybe next summer.
Yeah, and I'll just add to anyone out there, I absolutely love the UK. The first international seminar I ever taught was either Reunion Island or London. And I have an affinity for the British. I love their sense of humor. They like my sense of humor. They don't seem to be wrapped so tight as a lot of Americans are, I've noticed. It's kind of like that thing, they've been the empire and have successfully transferred it over to us. And for years, it was the British had to stick up their ass. Now it seems like the Americans have to stick up their ass, and the Brits know how to laugh at everything, including themselves. And I love people that can laugh at themselves, so I love the British.
Nice. All right. We got a hotline queue. Let's check this out.
If you guys can choose 3 bands, dead or alive, to see at a concert at any moment in time, what 3 bands would you guys choose? For me, it would be The Doors, The Ramones, and The Beastie Boys.
I would definitely join you to any one of those. But if I had to pick, and I only had 3 that I could see the band in their prime, Minor Threat, Pink Floyd, and then I start really struggling because I've seen Jane's Addiction post, they're not as good as I love the Pixies. I would love to see them in their prime. Led Zeppelin, of course, I would love to see in their prime. So I get really open after that in terms of what band I would want to see. But then I would probably say I would want to go see like some jazz in its prime, 1950s or 60s, some Charlie Mingus, like because jazz is like one of those things that the jazz people say has to be experienced live because you have to feel the room and how they riff off each other and see it. And I've always said that with jiu-jitsu, when you're young, is kind of like rock and roll, but when you get older, you got to make it like jazz. So it would be something jazz.
Nice.
Okay, I have two favorite bands, and it's 311 and the Smashing Pumpkins, and I've seen both as a young person and more recently as an old person, and I would go to another concert any day of the week, but I really want to go see the Killers in concert because that's a band that I've kind of gotten into more recently, and I don't know that I'll ever get to because like it's so expensive. And I really want to see Taylor Swift too.
Nice.
Yes.
But it's like $8,000 for a ticket.
I am not a fan of promoters.
Yeah.
Which is why I love punk rock.
But if you go see old bands like 311 and Smashing Pumpkins, it's cheap.
It's a good deal. This would be tough to do, but off the top of my head, I'd probably go Jimi Hendrix experience, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, the band.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Miles Davis at a club somewhere.
That'd be killer. Yeah.
And then I want to do a different genre, but I feel like hip hop kind of sucks live in general.
It's
Rap
not as
and
good
hip
live,
hop.
I would agree.
So
London
you gotta
Philharmonic.
stay in rock land. Maybe Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, that'd be killer in their prime.
I feel like that'd be a good energy.
I went
be a
to
good
see
one.
Boys to Men not long ago.
Oh,
It was really good. R&B is good.
R&B would be
It
good.
was good.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna switch mine up. Erykah Badu. There we go. Or Sade.
Oh, okay.
That'd be nice.
Okay, this is way more than 3, Tobin.
Minor Threat is the first one that comes and I would want to see them at their height of anti-everything punk rock.
Nice.
I think the greatest punk rock album ever produced is Minor Threat's Minor Threat.
Nice.
American punk for sure. That was like the height of punk rock.
Nice. All right. That's it. Nice show. That was fun.
Let's
You
wrap
ready?
it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Pound, like, and subscribe.
把的毅力就是一步一个脚印，把前路规划
5.
实。
Well, we all have targets on our backs these days.